This is part 2 of my Xinjiang adventure. We were still near the city of Kucha, but out in the desert exploring some interesting ancient ruins, such as this Buddhist temple, which was lying in the desert on the ancient Silk Road. Lying against a backdrop of desert and towering mountains, this place felt mystical and otherworldly. Another site near here that's well worth visiting was the Beacon Tower, an ancient military fortification still standing after hundreds of years in the ice and desert. After visiting all of these cold, ancient ruins in the desert, it was time to warm up, so we headed down to a local village where we got invited into somebody's home. In this home, we met the family and they made us a lot of nice food, and they even allowed me to ride their horse, which I was terrible at. Now, the people in this village make their living off the land, raising cattle to sell on to make money. It seemed like an idyllic lifestyle out here in the countryside. Very different to the bustling city. In the village I met some guy who was an absolutely awesome musician, and he even let me play his special guitar, which is known as a dotar. But sadly, we won't be forming a band anytime soon due to the long distance. Next we travelled to Korla, which is the second largest city in Xinjiang. Now the city is very famous for its pears, and they're known all across China for having the best pears in the country. And they were very proud of them. They took us around this pear factory where I'd never seen so many pears in my life. But despite this, personally, I prefer the wine. For me, the most interesting destination in the city was the museum, which hosts a bunch of mummies that are over 4,000 years old. Unlike the mummies of ancient Egypt, the Xinjiang mummies were not rulers or nobles. They were preserved merely by being buried in the parched, stony desert. In fact, they were preserved so well that if you got up close to them, you could almost imagine their eyes opening. Creepy. After the spooky experience of getting up close and personal with those mummies, it was time for us to lighten up with some dancing. Now, what I didn't know about Korla and Xinjiang as a whole is there are a lot of people here of Mongolian descent. And that means there's a lot of Mongolian culture. And what better way than to experience it through dance? We went to this performance where everybody was dancing and throat singing. The next morning, it was time for the last destination on the trip, the Tarim Basin, an area surrounded by mountains which almost never gets rain, and one of the most beautiful places in all of Xinjiang. The coach to the basin took over 4 hours, and this gave me a chance to truly reflect on what I'd seen on the trip. The amazing landscapes, the awe-inspiring history, but most of all, the people that I'd met across the way who were interesting and inspirational. And they came from the cities and villages all the way from across the province. Wow, what an experience. I truly hope that one day I can come back. But for now, see you, Xinjiang. So I'm in the desert in the middle of Xinjiang, in the absolute middle of nowhere, and it looks beautiful. And this is actually the last stop on the trip. So that concludes my journey to Xinjiang. Thank you for watching. See you next time.